The first speaker, we first met here, I think it was within the first 2 years that the event started up. And he had just started this journey of wanting to be a life coach, and he's got an incredible story. I don't know how much he's going to share of that tonight, but he used to do something completely different. And he describes it as almost spending his life being asleep, and suddenly something woke him up and ignited that spark to go from leading a pretty boring and unfulfilling kind of life to thinking, what can I do that's impossible? What can I do without setting any limits on myself, and just live my life from that place and in that way? And that's exactly what he encourages his clients to do. We've gone on to become really, really good friends, and I know that not only is he somebody that talks a real good sense of this message, but he really lives this. And I think in this industry it can sometimes be rare to see someone on stage who is just really that authentic and genuinely really carries that into his life. So we're delighted to have him here tonight, delighted to call him such a good friend of mine as well. Please welcome to the stage David Saville.
For me, becoming superhuman now, it's important. I'm a professional life coach, but this isn't some gimmick. This isn't like some branding thing. This is the emergence of my life that's led this way personally and professionally. So I'm not messing around when I share this. Now, for me, it began just over 6 years ago, actually, when I was standing in the hospital. I just seen the light go out of my father's eyes, and I could hear them trying to resuscitate him. I was looking at the clock. It was just past 10 o'clock, and I realised that was it. All those empty promises, all those things of like, it'll be better. I'll make his life better in those final months. That's done. There was nothing I could do. And the full depth of my failure was just to bear. It was crushing. And I knew there was nothing more I could do. There was no tomorrow, right? It was just done. It would never be okay. Now, I went into 6 months kind of a black cloud. It was after that 6 months, around April 2013, when I emerged from that. And that's when I made the most important decision of my life, and that is to never again fail anyone in that way, ever again. And that set me to look at what can I do. So I sought out teachers, trainers, coaches. I consumed so much information, written, in video, in everywhere I could, so I could bring this into my everyday life. And most importantly, I tested this stuff out everywhere I could. So as I was embodying it and transforming my life within the job I had, which felt like it was sucking the life out of me, but during this journey I became the best I'd ever been at that role. I then brought it to everything, to the toxic relationship I had, to my grandma, actually, where I'd failed my father. I got to be with my grandma at the end of her life and actually do what I needed to do with her, so I didn't have any regrets with her, to be able to look her in the eyes and do everything possible. That happened as a direct result of this. And then quitting my job and beginning this bizarre journey to become a professional life coach, which is weird, right? It's a very strange thing to even say. Now it isn't, but it was very bizarre back then. And so I have, over the past 2 years, worked with hundreds of people deeply. So not only have I transformed myself physically, psychologically, and emotionally, which means there's nothing that I can't handle, there's nothing that I'm not willing to go for if I want to go for it. And life just continues to get better, no matter how old I get, no matter what's emerging. That's what I get. Now, I've worked with a lot of people, and for me, I'm like, why are some clients, why are they able to continue to excel after we've stopped working together? And others I see, although we had some great changes, it's contextual, and why is it not evolving beyond that? And that's when it's emerged into this. It's emerged into this becoming superhuman thing. There's a limitation for what people are willing to experience in their lives. And that's what I want to get away from this. Because we forget how precious life is. Whatever your spiritual beliefs, we all know we're going to die. We all know everyone we know around us will, and we will. And yet we walk around this world as if that's not going to happen. And that's not good enough. We are holding ourselves back. We're not even close to understanding or expressing the potential that is possible within each of us. Now, as I'm researching all of this, and as I've seen the results, right, for myself, people look at me and they say they're blown away by the transformation. If you knew me 5 years ago, it would be insane what you witnessed, the person standing here right now. In fact, 5 years ago, I'd never even been on the stage before. However, I am an exception, but I shouldn't be an exception. And I don't want to be the exception. I want everyone in this room, and everyone who may see this, or anyone I speak to realise you can be a superhuman version of yourself. And this isn't rhetoric either. So what's going on inside, which I've been finding out recently, is when you challenge yourself, so you enter a new situation, you do something that scares you, you are actually switching on genes inside of yourself that were laying dormant, that without having the stimulus would never be woken up. And so we've got no idea what we're capable of if we continue to challenge ourselves. Now, the thing is, well, it makes sense when you look at medical, things that happen medically. Type 2 diabetes is a beautiful example of this, right? People can live perfectly healthy lives, eat what they like, and then at some point, even though they may seem healthy, bang, suddenly a gene has turned on inside of them, they no longer produce enough insulin, and they have to medicate or they have to radically change their lifestyle to be able to just live like we do. That gene was not expressed, it was dormant, and then it became expressed. The person who smokes for many years and has no problems, then suddenly cancer kicks in, a gene is turned on. And what about the ones who smoke for the rest of their lives and never get cancer? So that's either a gene hasn't switched on or a gene has switched on to protect them. I don't know which it is. But we see the evidence of genetic expression happening, right? It's there. We just don't necessarily realise it's possible in every aspect of our lives. That's the negative stuff, right? That's the health stuff. We've got no clue what's possible. If we activate what's inside us, we cannot know this. It's irrelevant how your life is right now. It's irrelevant what you believe is possible, because you've not even come close to waking up every part of you that you could bring to bear in this beautiful life. And it gets even better than that. So when you're learning a new skill, the way it happens in the brain is it moves along the nerve endings, right? It moves along, the electrical signal travels across the nerve ending. When you practice it and get really good at it, it gets faster. And the reason it gets faster is because you develop these fatty sheets called myelin. And what happens is it means the electrical signal skips over the fat. So it gets faster and faster, up to 50 times faster than when you started learning that skill. Now imagine you go through the rest of your life from this moment on, learning, developing, challenging yourself, developing 50 times speed of everything that you're learning. What's the compound effect of all of that as you're walking through life? What all of that excellence within us, what could that create? We've got no idea. We've not even come close to do that. And we may go, I used to go for years without challenging myself, without deliberately going into experiences that could change who I was and what I was expressing. All that lost time, all those lost, who knows where I could have been, you know? I'm very glad it happened the way it did for me personally, because it's the only way I'd be here and be able to be living the life I am. So everything, I wouldn't want to change anything, even the terrible thing with my father, really, because I may never have got to the point I'm able to have done the good work and therefore my mum and my grandma like I am now. So I wouldn't change my life in the way it is, but it is interesting to know what could have been. And so from this moment on, it doesn't matter what you've done so far. It's like, what would be possible if you spent from this moment on challenging yourself and changing who you are inside? That's when you actually become someone else, more of yourself, the best part of you. And so the way to do this, the way that I've found works really well, is it's to do with challenge, but there's two different types. There's proximal development. So that is, it's like you're challenging yourself, but it's within the ranges of what you're capable. So it feels like a challenge, but you know you can do that, right? That's proximal development. And it's like going to the gym and training with a certain weight that you can handle, right? So your aches, your muscles grow, but it's not too challenging. And then, of course, there's the occasional really big challenge, something that's going to rock your world that you don't know if you can do. Actually, a better example is training for a marathon. That's a much better example, because you might be going on the treadmill, you might be going for runs. Most people don't run a marathon until race day. That's the only time they will do that. But they will train themselves on incremental paths so they get their body and fitness there, and a lot of the psychology too, right? And then on race day, bang, they finally do that marathon and they change something profound within themselves as a result of that. So that's how I've found it works best, to continually challenge yourself in this proximal way, and then occasionally to do something that's so insane that you don't know what will happen, because then you get to bring all of these resources to the moment and you become far more than you've ever been before. Another example of this is Usain Bolt, for instance, right? Fastest man alive. He did not win any world records in training ever. He did not even train to do a world record during his training. He saved that for competition day, right? That's what he did. So we see it obviously in the physical world, But this is true for every part of life. This is true psychologically and emotionally. You know, this is true for romance. This is true for your friendships. This is true for the work you're doing. There's no part of life that cannot be touched in this way. And then we move into something else, and this is more the hidden aspect of this becoming superhuman stuff, to embracing more all you can be. This is more the quiet side. You know, it's when someone looks into your eyes, they don't really know what's going on inside of you, only you can know that. When you're in a conversation and you hold back from saying everything you could, you know, it's the more subtle aspects of this, which is vital actually. I find it's in these in-between moments. These are the moments that you can challenge yourself every day. You know, when you get a message from someone that you don't like, it's like how you respond to that. That you can challenge yourself to be more honest. And in fact, that's a really good way to challenge yourself on a daily basis to be more honest, right? Because that brings up a lot of fear, a lot of judgment, a lot of potential ramifications for your life. And most people practice dishonesty to different degrees, holding back who they are. Like, I used to run a meetup group called Deep Connections, and what we found is that people, they do friendships badly. So what they do is they'll meet someone and they'll share certain things with them, but they won't share anything deeply meaningful, anything deeply that they're ashamed of or anything until way later, until they've, you know, spent months, maybe years developing a friendship. And then they're like, right, now that we've been close, now I'm going to share this precious thing with you. And many times it goes badly, because that person was never going to accept the person for who they are in that moment. And that's the mistake, the backwards mistake. It's far better to be yourself in the moment, to be yourself in the here and now. And what I've found is it removes the filter. If you're not filtering when someone's speaking to you, you get to have superhuman conversations. You make friends really quickly with your kind of people. It totally transforms your relationship with who you are, who you're being, and the kind of life that you have around you. It's revolutionary, is what it is. So, what I'd like to do right now is to give you a little experience of the in-between. To give it a little experience. And this is simultaneously going to be a test. So it's going to test your own freedom and your own growth from where you are right now. This is listening in the most purest way possible. Now, of course, if you've not done this before, you may find you think, but as soon as you notice that, bring your attention back. And you might notice yourself doing things that get in the way of listening, and that's okay. Do the best you can with this. So does that make sense as to the way to listen? Yes. Okay, this is good. By the way, when it comes to interviews, relationships, when it comes to pretty much anything in life, you learn you can listen like this. It makes you kind of pretty impressive in those kind of interactions in a way that most people aren't, because most people aren't really paying attention. So this is a really important skill, so practice it well here. So that's the way to listen. Now the way to speak is to just share, and share until I tell you to stop sharing. So this is often what happens too. You only have like a minute or so to speak, so it's not a long time, but it can feel long if you run out of things to say if you speak fast. So when you speak, just allow yourself to keep speaking. If you go blank, allow yourself to think, because it's okay to have silence and to think. That's okay. It may feel uncomfortable, but share anyway. And for the person listening, this is often when it gets the worst. This is often when you want to save this person, when they go silent, like, oh no, I feel so uncomfortable, please, I must speak. So that you feel okay. Don't do that, because you're robbing someone of original thought. You're robbing someone of the opportunity to either remember something, or to create something, or to connect to something deeper within themselves. Don't rob them of that. They get robbed of that enough in everyday life when people are interrupting them. In absolute silence, until I ding. Ding! Right? So what you're going to do is this. You're going to finish this sentence. So the sentence stem is this. It's, I am scared that. So if I was going to do that, it would be, I am scared that everyone that I've loved who has died, and everyone I know who will die, and myself, that we will blink out of existence and we just won't be aware. That scares the hell out of me. Now, if I had more time, I would tell you why and go deeper into that, which you will have the opportunity to do so. So you have like a minute or so. It's not a long time, but you finish the sentence, I am scared that, and then you say why. And you keep speaking until I do. I like the hug there. Feel free to hug each other if you feel so inspired. Only you will know how far you challenge yourself there. Only you will know what you held back from. Did you go as deep as you could? Did you express yourself as fully as you could? Only you will know that. So when you're going to do this one, allow yourself to stretch yourself. You know, within your proximal development range, go a little bit further than you probably would. Often the first thing that comes up that you go, I can't share that, is often the best one. And this is, we're going to go a bit lighter here anyway, so it'll be a different thing, but there's still a reality of that when you're sharing, you know, there's a vulnerability there to, you may be criticised or judged. And I just want to be clear, you're sharing for yourself here. It's irrelevant what the other person thinks. And that's a good way to live, by the way. It's irrelevant what people think of you. What's relevant is what matters to you, and that you share something of deep meaning. So the next thing you're going to be sharing is, the sentence stem is, if anything were possible, I would. So it can go anywhere with it, right? So for me, like, I thought, what's mine? So if anything were possible, I would coach the next president of the United States so that he is able to actually not fuck up the country and the world and actually do a damn good job to shape something, that power, to shape something deeply meaningful. That's what I would do if I could do anything. You know, and the person about to speak, share as deeply as you're willing to go, but stretch yourself. Allow yourself to become a little bit more powerful by sharing more here. If you challenge yourself even a little bit, you may have woken something up inside of you, a spark of possibility. That if you were to continue doing that, continue to challenge yourself in conversations, in your interactions every day, you get to become more of yourself. You actually to speak your mind to be able to achieve more things. This can't be underestimated. Doing more of this in your everyday conversations, what impact that can have. So if you go from here and you challenge yourself within these little moments, only you will know the challenges, by the way. So you get to do this secretly. It's cool. You have a secret mission of becoming more of who you are. And then challenge yourself more overtly as well, physically, psychologically and emotionally, every opportunity you can, proximally, and then every now and then do something fucking crazy. You know, something far beyond what you think capable of. You will be unlocking things inside of yourself, becoming more than you know is possible within, until you actually get to be living a life where you are becoming superhuman. Thank you very much.
If we want to connect with you a little bit more, where can this lovely audience do that?
Yes, so that would be Facebook is best. That's where I've actually started a new live weekly series called Becoming Superhuman. You know, how to create the structures in your life and, you know, how to do this stuff really. And also, I mean, next year I am creating the most intense, challenging and probably the most unique life coaching program that's ever existed, where for 4 months we're going to go on an immersion to become superhuman. So if anyone here is inspired by that, you can come speak to me or message me about it, and we can see if we can do some good work together.
Thank you. Let's hear it for David, ladies and gentlemen.